Actually had a good following on YouTube last week or the week before last. So, what's up, everyone? It's Jeremy Majors here with Majors Academy Dog Training out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and this is Dog Behavior Q&A show number 97. This show is for people who have some questions about their dog's behavior. Doesn't have to be a good dog, doesn't have to be a bad dog, just has to be a dog. And we'll try and answer it to the best of our ability. It really does help out a lot of people who may have dogs with similar issues, so please don't be shy. Feel free to ask. Again, we will answer all the questions that we receive to the best of our ability. Okie dokie. So let's get into some questions and get it started. Okay. All right. First question is from Carl. I have a lovable lab that is 3 years old and wait a minute, this is the wrong one. No, it is. It's the same one. I have a lovable lab that is 3 years old and a GSD German Shepherd dog that is one and a half. Very different breeds and very different dogs. The German Shepherd likes to play rough while the lab isn't. How do I prevent the GSD from overwhelming the lab when they play? So a couple of things to know about that. When dogs play, I always just try and keep it as fair as possible. What you want to be able to do is use, if you can't with your voice, be able to control the dog that overwhelms your lab. If you cannot control with your voice the German Shepherd that overwhelms your lab, then you are going to have to use some sort of tool. You can start with a squirt bottle, for all that matter. You can also then use a pet convincer, a doggy don't, something to disrupt the lab. But make sure your lab, something to disrupt the German Shepherd. Make sure your lab actually wants to play too. And one way you can do that is to have control over your German Shepherd. I usually will stop the dog who is being the overwhelmer, and then see if the other dog actually goes back to play. If the dog goes back to play, then you can make a case that the dog likes to be overwhelmed. So it just depends on the dogs and what they want and what they like. Again, I am all about fair play. I don't allow any of my dogs to overwhelm another dog until they're very comfortable with each other, and even still, I would never allow my dogs to sort of bully any other dog. So that being said, you gotta see if you can control the lab, or the German Shepherd. You can even, if you're outside, you can put a long leash on the dog and let the dog drag it around. And if it gets overwhelmed, so you just kind of grab the leash and then settle that German Shepherd down. And then try again. All right. That's about all I got. Thanks for your question. Okay, next question. We have 2 rescue dogs. Lab Border Collie, 7 years old, and a Rat Terrier Dachshund, 6 years old. The 7-year-old is the wild child, named from the teacher of puppy school. She is all messed up. She will destroy our vehicle. She is a barker at everything. She is a jumper. She will show her teeth at times, and yet she can be a sweetheart. We've tried everything for the barking. She has a bark collar, and the more she barks, it goes off, and she gets more aggressive, and it so-called works. And at times, she gets more aggressive, has gone after the little dog. Brandy is 7, and Spud is 6. We got Brandy at 8 weeks, and Spud at 3. To sum it up, Brandy is aggressive, barker, jumper, and yet she is nervous and frightens easy. Help, thank you. The 2 dogs are inside dogs and not kept outdoors. Brandy knows her commands, but not on her terms. Okay, so I'd start with that. I would start with getting the dog to know, or getting the dog to listen on your terms and not the dog's terms. Don't use the bark collar anymore, uh, because the bark collar can cause confusion and more frustration in high drive dogs. You have a high drive dog, and that must mean you should be able to control your dog with a tool along with with your voice. Okay, so you can't separate the two. The problem becomes when you start using tools without your guidance there. Bark collars, they work for some dogs, but they also really don't work for others. You don't want your dog getting aggressive. And so, just as long as she knows her commands, you're halfway there. Well, I'd say maybe 30% the way there. So I would practice getting the dog to listen on your terms when their things are very calm, like when she's being a sweetheart. That's actually a good time to go ahead and get her to do what you want as opposed to allowing her to do what she wants. So you start with when there's nothing to trigger her, and then you can start slowly introducing her to the things that do trigger her. But you have already built a different dialogue with the dog. Therefore, the dog will start to listen to you. But you have to be more stubborn than your dog. Their will not to listen cannot be greater than your will to get them to listen. Simple as that. All right. Good luck. And thank you for your question. Those of you who are live, you can ask your questions at any time. I'm kind of going through questions that have been asked on various social media. And those of you on YouTube can do the same. If you guys ask your question, you guys' questions are the priority since you're watching live. Okay? So feel free to ask at any time. Let me just bring up the live feed here. I think I want to talk to you guys about small dog psychology as well. There's trainers who think that it's something different. You should train small dogs differently than you should train big dogs, but I strongly disagree with that. I think at the end of the day, you're still working with a brain that has the same level of learning ability. So we should treat it as such. Okay, next question. I have a 4-month-old Danish. We recently started puppy training classes with her through Sit Means Sit in Madison, Wisconsin. Classes are held at a local doggy daycare, at home, or even while at the dog park, off leash. I can get her to do the commands pretty easily. During the class, it's a different story. All she wants to do is sniff around and check out the treats other owners have. She has a sensitive stomach, so I'm using some of her IV food prescribed by her vet and dried liver treats cut into tiny pieces. Not sure what to do to get her more into it while we are there. Also, the way they have us trying to train the dogs to lay down isn't working for us. They have us doing the sit command, which she does in spades, and then use a treat to get them down to the floor and in between their legs to get them to go down into their belly to get it. Our puppy just stands up and refuses to lay down. I've only been able to get the dog to lay down when doing it in our kitchen, slicker flooring, and pushing her down a bit. Is there any other technique I could use to try with her that may work better. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. You know, classes are. I mean, uh, I hate to say it, but I don't even know why trainers do classes, especially if you're not. Uh, the problem with classes with dogs that aren't trained prior to coming into the class, and they're not trained. So when you are when you are teaching a dog a new skill, treats can be beneficial. When the dog knows the new skill, then treats should only come out on rare occasions. You should not use treats to get the dog to do what it already knows what to do. Because at the end of the day, every tool that you use should get you closer to getting the dog to do what you ask them to do with no tools, just your voice, which is a tool. But so just your voice. That's how you know. That's how you can. You know, that's reliability. Down. That's reliability. If you're still using treats, which treats puts dogs in a different mindset. They put dogs in a. They don't. They tend not to focus on you, which is who they should be focusing on. They're focusing on the treat. And if you don't have the treat, or if someone else has treats, they're not going to focus on you. So that's the frustration with classes. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing, you had mentioned about the down. I'll post a YouTube video on how to get the dog to reliably down every time you say down. It's the down non-negotiably. Okay, I'll go ahead and post the video right underneath your comment. Okay. All right. Thanks for your question. Okay, we got some things live. Let's see here. Jessica asks, "Is any idea why my husky only wants to eat food out of the same bowl at the same time as my other dogs, or will only eat out of the bowl after my other dog ate out of it? There's enough bowls for each dog, and we will supervise." Yeah. Yeah, your dog's just being kind of funny, weird. Huskies can do that, man. Huskies can be that way. The dog is eating in reaction to what your other dogs is, so it's kind of being possessive of the food in a way. So here's a way to eliminate that, and you can decide whether you want to do it or not, because it's not that big of a deal. But I want my dogs to eat the food when I put it down. Otherwise, they're not eating. And my dogs only eat once a day, so that means they're not going to eat. So I want them to eat their food, as opposed to, like, Oakley used to knock over his food bowl, but it's kind of cool, because I had given him a different food the other day, and it was chicken based, and it gave him really bad gas. And I put the same food down, and he refused to eat it. He knew that the food would give him gas, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, that's my general rule. It will eliminate what you have expressed. I put the food down, they eat, otherwise they don't get to eat for at least, you know, 8 hours. We'll try it again. Get the dog in the habit of being appreciative that the food is down. When I put it down, it's your time, your opportunity to eat. All right. Thanks for your question, Jessica. Feel free to ask another one. Okay, how do we get Brandy to ride in the car without biting the seat and licking everything and just plain afraid of riding in the vehicle and slobbering all over? You got to give the dog something to do that's non-negotiable. Okay? Something very simple as putting the dog in a down. That down video will also help you too, because I want to make sure, because dogs come to me knowing what to do, but my job is to get them to do it at any time, at all times, stress or not. And so we teach them how to do it without stress first, and then we present the things that stress them out, and they still listen. So I would, again, be more diligent when it's calm and it's just you guys in the house, no stressors. Practice your down. I make sure that dog's getting enough exercise too. That's what I would. That's what I would definitely make sure. Exercise, discipline, affection. That is very important. Cesar Millan is famous for saying that, but it very much so holds true. Give your dog some exercise. That will help with the anxiety. Then give the dog the discipline. Then that'll definitely help with the anxiety. And then you can give your dog some affection, but not before those two. Okay? Thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another one. I would like to know how to stop fence fighting. Okay, fence fighting is a difficult one. You're going to need an adversive tool. Okay. Usually you can start with a squirt bottle, but that probably isn't going to work. But you can even start with just, if you have a prong collar, you can have a prong collar and a long leash, and you can give a dog a leash correction when it decides to do that. You can also use a pet corrector. You can even use a horn. You can use a doggy don't. You can use an electric collar, although I would, suggest that you may seek professional help for that. But yeah, the dog's going to need to sort of be, have some sort of like intervention that really makes them go, whoa, whoa. And then more guidance and time with you in the backyard, not just leaving the dog in the backyard to get into that habit again. So you're going to have to be out there telling the dog no after you've sort of broken through that initial need to fence fight. It'll be the best thing you can do for your dog, because your dog then can relax in the backyard without doing that stuff. Okay? Thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another. No food in the crate then. Yes, food in the crate. That's fine. Feed them in the crate. Give them 5 minutes, 10 minutes to eat, and then pick the food up. If they don't, try again. Try again. All right, our dog immediately barks when we let him outside, no matter if someone or something is out there. We have a fenced-in yard. How do we work on this excessive and unnecessary barking? If we are out there with him, he doesn't do this same sort of barking. One way or another, you're going to have to communicate with that dog. One way or another, you're going to have to reach the dog. It seems like the dog is just sort of, living in reactivity. Old-fashioned. My wife just made me an old-fashioned. That's what I'm drinking Since it's not sober October anymore, I can go ahead and enjoy a beverage while I answer some questions. Okay, so anyway, yeah, you're gonna have to reach him somehow. Now, I've already mentioned those tools, but I'll mention them again because they work. But ultimately, it's those tools are still gonna need to be layered with your leadership somehow. Okay, because right now your leadership's maybe not working. Your attempt to go quiet or no or stop or shut the heck up is just not working. So uh, you're gonna have to add a layer into that, right? So again, doggy don't, pet convincer, um, something that's just gonna make the dog stop and pause instead of reacting. The dog is constantly in reaction, and this means this. Oh, how about this? First of all, let's stop the dog from rushing out of the door. Let's stop that. Gain control of the dog when you open the door. You dictate when the dog goes out. Put the dog in a sit. Your goal should be to be able to put the dog in a sit, open the door, and the dog wait until you say it's okay. And I'd make the dog really wait because he might be shaking and shivering just to get outside, right? You want to work past that because he's already in reactive mindset then, and it's hard to reach him there. But if you give him a pause before you let him outside by just giving him something to do that he has to do, sit down, whatever you want, um, and you use your body too. You use your body presence to get him to respect that he can't go through the door this despite you standing in his way. That's the easiest way. Okay, so there's a good start there. But again, once he's out, if you have to take things further, then try the tools that I mentioned. All right. Thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another one. Can you go back up to my? Did I miss your question? Let me see. Okay, there we go. It's getting cold in Wisconsin. I've been thinking about putting Sammy on the treadmill so he can get some exercise. What's the best way to start training him on, and how to use it? He's getting fat from the lack of walks. So I do have a how-to video on YouTube. I need to update that video, but I do have a how-to YouTube treadmill video. But the other thing is too, if you have trouble afterwards, you can definitely bring them over, and we will, help them on the treadmill. So, I think it'd be good for Sammy overall anyway. But yeah, try the video. I'll post that as a reply to your question, and give that a shot. I think he should be pretty easy. All right. Thanks for your question. Okay. Okay, get that one. How do you stop a dog from jumping into the front seat the minute you get out of the vehicle, asking for a friend? You're not asking for a friend. You're asking for you. I'm just kidding. Just messing with you. Tie the dog up. Very simple solution. Tie the dog up for the next month. Just tie his leash to the seat. That'd be the easier way. The harder way would obviously making sure the dog is obedient enough to listen to stay or down. All right. Thanks for your question. Okay. Hoping this question helps. Okay, where is that? Next question. Hoping this question helps others in multi-dog household. Do you use the same approach to training specifically the go to your bed command with dogs who have gentler dispositions. I want our I want our rescue, Molly, to listen, but she is much more sensitive to corrections. Yes, same approach with every dog. Rah! No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, same approach. But for sensitive dogs, you can add a little bit of sugar. You can add a little bit of sweetness. More voice, I would say. If they're sensitive, they could be sensitive because they're trying to get out of it. So question their reasons of being sensitive, because some dogs are only sensitive when they don't want to do something, and that's a fact. I've had plenty of dogs scream um, when things are not convenient, or when I'm pushing past certain thresholds with the dog, and then we can do the same level of correction or the same amount of pressure when there's nothing going on and the dog doesn't react at all. So I just had a dog leave that was a King Cavalier Charles, uh, and the dog would only be very sensitive when there was cars, because the dog had car issues with cars passing by. So you know, so I say all that to say, uh, I question when people say their dog is sensitive. They could just It could just mean that the dog is dramatic. Hi, Michael. So that's that. Thank you for your question. Okay. Let's see. Next question. But small dogs are always a little bit tougher. Small dogs are always a little bit tougher. Ellie says hi. Hi, Ellie. Can you give the names of those correction tools and where to purchase them? I usually purchase them on Amazon, but they are the doggy don't, and they are the pet convincer. You can try those. Uh, but again, I think for your situation, um, what's going to help you out the most is um, inside the home behavior. Getting the dog to listen just in general. Okay, that'll be the less stressful, the easier route. It's the easier route, but the route that takes more work. Alrighty. But like I said, so with small dogs, because they aren't as much of a pain. You know, no one cares if they're on the couch. No one cares if they jump. So they're doing all these entitled things that big dogs, more so than not, aren't necessarily doing for the average pet owner. And so small dogs are, they actually take longer to train than bigger dogs. And again, some trainers will tell you that the approach to small dog training is completely different from big dogs. But I can't disagree more. They're only small because they only think that certain way because we treat them that way because they're small. Like they don't necessarily say I'm small and I can do this. No, it's if you allow a big dog, if you treat a big dog like a small dog, big dog's going to act like a small dog. So they just take longer. They're much more resistant because they've had things their way for a very long time. And so when I get a small dog, I'm I usually work with 4 weeks because usually I work with dogs 3 weeks, big dogs on average. But when I get a small dog, it's going to be 4 weeks because 3 weeks is not enough for a small dog. All right. Next question. I think I got all of the. Okay, I got. Let's see. Okay, got all those. All right, how do you deal with a 3-year-old rescue cocker who is very aggressive to other dogs, like on walks and dog parks? Um, so let's just talk about the walk. I mean, if the dog is aggressive towards other dogs on the walk, um, plain and simple, that just means you have to get more control over the dog on the walk. You have to add more structure to the dog on the walk. Once again, reverting back to what I was saying about saying earlier, make the dog listen more where the dog struggles. You cannot allow the dog to pull you, sniff everywhere, pee everywhere. The dog has got to walk with you, and the dog has got to follow you, and not the other way around. So that's a pretty basic start. It's not going to happen if you don't have that. If you don't have control over the dog in the walk, the dog is free to do what it wants and act how it wants and become insecure about this and that. So, more structure on the walk. When you stop, the dog should sit and not try and pull you away from anywhere, from your spot. Dog should just sit there until you're ready to walk off again. Say you got to tie your shoe. Say you forgot to unzip your zipper. Say you forgot to, or you just want to check your cell phone. Dog shouldn't be pulling you while you're doing that. Pretty hard to zip your zipper when a dog's pulling. And then dog parks, I'd stay away from dog parks. Let's just concentrate on the walk for a while. Forget dog parks, they're not that good anyway. Overrated. All right, thank you for your question. I do have, again, a video on Facebook, on YouTube that will get that walk correct. So check that out as well. Okay, one of our dogs will come when called by one of us, but ignore the other. We both use the same command. Any idea why they would ignore one and not the other? Yeah, because the dog is allowed to ignore one and not the other. One of you guys are more stubborn about getting the dog to listen, and the dog knows it. If you make the dog listen, both of you, the same way, then you will get the same result. But the dog will, if it can, to anybody, not listen if it has the opportunity not to. So, whoever is struggling, especially with the come command, then I would suggest that that one go get the dog, like for the next 4 times. See if that works after that. All right. Thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another one. Do you think taking a dog to doggy daycare when they just run around and do whatever makes training harder? Most doggy daycares just make sure there's no fighting. No, I don't think it will be harder to train a dog at that goes to dog daycare. Hell, it may make it easier. Because one thing's for sure, the dog's going to be tired. The dog's going to be less stubborn. The dog's going to be less anxious. So, could help. Could help. Special circumstances may hurt, but it's not. That's way less likely. Could help. My middle-aged dog seems to have less of a temper nowadays. She gets agitated to the point she growls. She would never bite us, but she never shown this kind of behavior before. Would you know why? Yes, I would know why. Dog is getting way too comfortable with how things are. Switch things up. If the dog is on the couch, give the dog a break from off the couch for a week. Keep the dog humble. Make the dog do more things. That's on your terms. Make the dog more accommodating to you and your lifestyle, as opposed to the other way around. Those few things can help a dog become more humble, or help a dog stay humble. Just get the dog to listen more, and make sure that the growling, if they're growling, and especially if they know you, then they're growling because it's going to get them somewhere, or they're trying to achieve something. So make sure they don't achieve it, and it will stop. That's what I got. Thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another one. Okay. Let's see where we're at. All right, more questions. You guys watching live too, like I said, if you're just joining us, please feel free to ask any question. Your question is going to help others who are watching, and who may watch in the future. So please ask any question you like. It doesn't matter. Okay, next question. Hello, my sister just moved in with her boyfriend. She has an 11-year-old dog. He has a 3-year-old dog. They hate each other. They called a trainer. He said keep them separated and slowly bring together short periods at a time and both on a leash. So far, not working. Now they live in a big house with gates everywhere to keep them separate. Any advice? Yeah. So, number one advice, this is going to be, I'm always going to give, I'm going to give the harder route and the easy route. The harder route is going to guarantee success. Like I will guarantee you guys have success if you follow this route. Okay. But I know people are not really going to follow the hard route because it's hard, meaning it takes a lot of work from the owner, a lot of being diligent. So I'll give you two ways. And if you don't want to break up a fight, go with the harder route. But I just made a really good video on how to introduce dogs to each other without conflict. I'm doing this for a long time. It's 40 minutes, and it's about 35 minutes, but they're broken up into 4 sessions. 4 sessions, 10 minutes. That's 40 minutes. If you can dedicate 40 minutes to this issue, that may be the solution. So take a look at it. I posted it on Facebook, but it's also on my YouTube. It's my newest YouTube. It's called newest YouTube video. It's called Socializing Aggressive Great Dane. I've got you know several other videos that break down the same thing, introducing any dog, no matter if they're aggressive or not, to new dogs, and what it takes, and what tools you have to have, and how much time it takes, and what to look for, and what body language means, and just a complete breakdown, play by play. So I would encourage you to check out that video, because it would be a little too much to tell here, but I'll briefly go over it. First of all, you have to gain control. You have to have control of both dogs. If you don't have that, then there is a chance that they will continue to hate each other. They don't even hate each other because they don't even really know each other. You haven't given them a chance to actually know each other because they're so out of control. If they're in control, then they have the opportunity to, at the very least, respect each other. They may not ever like each other, but they can at least respect each other. But control has to be there to guarantee success. Control of both dogs. And that video will break down how. But that's a really good question, and there's plenty of people who struggle with that, so I appreciate that. I appreciate your question. Okay, next question. What's the best way to reach me? I sent an email from the form on your website and was just wondering how long I should wait before calling. Just call. I think the best way to reach me is to call me. Because if you send me a form, I'm going to call you. So just call me. I like talking to people over the phone anyway. Don't like email. Because the phone conversation is also the consultation. I'm consulting with you. I don't necessarily have to have the dog. There's a lot of people that say, "Oh, when can we set up a consultation?" That must be what other trainers do. I don't do that. It's not necessary for me to do. It's not necessary. I don't hear things that I haven't worked with anymore, if at all. So I can pretty much tell you what you need over the phone. The only way that I do private lessons is if people have had some background in training already. It's the only way. I rarely do them. I only do them 1 week out of every month. But I just don't go to homes with aggressive dogs that haven't had some sort of formal training, because it's dangerous. All right. Thank you for your question. How would you introduce a fear-aggressive Corso to a hyper Belgian Malinois? I wouldn't. Just kidding. Sounds like a bad idea to me. A Belgian Malinois and a fear-aggressive Corso. Wow. Holy smokes. Really slowly. Okay, so this is good though. I just talked about that video. So that video that I mentioned with there's 4 sessions, double that. Like maybe even triple the amount of time. If you got a fear aggressive Corso and a hyper Belgian Malinois, whoo, you may actually need to see a professional, because that's 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 a whole lot of dog. A whole lot of That's a lot. So, um, but not impossible. Not impossible. It just would take a lot more time. Controlled time. How about that? All right. Thanks for your question. Okay, got a question live. Let's see. I found that video very helpful, Jeremy. I started using that technique, introduced my dogs to fosters, and have seen a world of a difference. Awesome. I appreciate that, Caleb. That's good. It's what it's there for. It's what it's there for. I thought it might help some people out, man. I really do think that that video can work for any dog, no matter how aggressive, no matter if you're new to dog training, no matter if you're new to working with dogs. Obviously, ultimately, you have to learn body language and what it means to for dogs to become indifferent to the things that once made their hair stand up on their back. There are some dogs who are very headstrong, and they will take time, and don't take chances. If you take chances and take the next step too soon, then you'll be taking the step backwards, because they'll start to, they may fight. But, and I'm not, and anything that I suggest is always going to be the thing that, goes the extra mile with it. I do know that all dogs obviously aren't aggressive, and you may have success just meeting dogs and not being there at all. You may have success doing that. But I'm going to put out those videos that, again, take into account all dogs and their level of insecurity. All right. What's the best way for me to reintroduce my husband returning from deployment to my dog? It's been almost a year since she's seen him. Oh, well, I'm glad he's coming home. Tell him I said thank you for his service, because Sunday we had Veterans Day. And I hope you're settling. I think you're in Atlanta now. I hope you're settling well. And I miss Miss Maisie. But this is going to be a tough one. But again, I'm going to suggest the thing that's going to work if you follow what I suggest. It may work how you want to do it, but I'm going to tell you something that will work, because I've done it. Okay. So when you want to introduce your dog who has in the past been fearful of strangers to someone who she may or may not recognize right away, is to give her something to do. Put her in a crate, I would say, so that you can go ahead and not really worry about the dog so much, but embrace him being home. Let the dog be an afterthought. She better be quiet and calm in that crate. But why don't you go ahead and enjoy, him coming home, and let that novelty wear off before you involve Maisie in the situation, because it's very beneficial for Maisie to do that. It's very beneficial on her behalf, because you're telling her that she has to be in control, and then you're also controlling, what she would perceive as a stranger, what she may perceive as a stranger in your husband. So I would say don't let her out of the crate for the first, or however long it takes, but 15, 20 minutes, but she's got to be completely calm, indifferent. Her ears can't be up. She can't be looking at the crate. She can't be barking, like I said. She has to be totally calm, cool, and collected before you let the dog out. And then I would put the dog in place. And once the dog is okay in the place, then I'd let her maybe sniff around, but just feel the situation out. If Maisie's nervous, or if Maisie is excited, if she's nervous, be prepared to be in control. Put the dog back on the place. You know what I mean? Or if it's too much, put the dog back in the crate. You want to take it to a real good level. For the first day or two, she's not really interacting with him, but that's pretty tough. So, yeah, I would consider doing that. Thanks for your question. What's the name of the video again? It's just called Socializing Aggressive Great Dane. I'll post it on this. I'll post it on the video when we're done here. We're almost done. It's almost been an hour, but I'll post it up so you can watch it. It's about 40 minutes, but it's a good one. It's a good one. Okay, I got time for one more question. What we got? Okay. Last question. Hey, Maylee. Hope I'm pronouncing your name right. All right. What is the best way to... What? I already answered that. I think he was... No. Okay. Maybe I don't have another question. Hold on. Yeah, I don't have another question. You still working with working dogs? No, not really. Not since I've had my son. I have not had time, man. Maybe one day I'll get back out there. I had a club member ask me if they wanted to work with, if they wanted me to work with their Rottweiler, but no, I have not. But I see you've got a little Mal. You guys have got a Malinois you're working with. That is awesome. I follow you guys. I see you. I see you out there. You also have that dog dock diving, which is awesome. Yeah, you guys can come see me, and we can do some bite work with your Malinois. Absolutely. All right, I like that idea for guests to using the crate and allowing her to introduce when calm. Not sure when we'll completely succeed with Zach, because he'll be as thrilled to see her as she is to see him, but we'll do our best. Yeah, that's gonna be a challenge there too. That's gonna be a challenge. So, all right, you guys, I'm gonna hop off here. I've answered all the questions, but feel free to ask any more questions. I'm gonna post those videos that I mentioned from YouTube on this chain. So you guys, they're coming. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. I appreciate you guys watching. We'll be here next week, Wednesday. Not gonna be here Thursday. No more Thursdays. Always on Wednesday now. Plus, I'll be in Madison. I'll try and be in Madison for a seminar on the 1st, December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And I'm going to have, I'm going to set up 2 private lessons with people. So if you're in Madison and you would like private lessons with me, PM me. I'm going to do a first come, first serve. So the first 2 people who we can make it work with our schedule, we're going to have some private lessons. Okay? And then I'm also going to see 2 past clients. So if you're in the Madison area, I'm coming. Let me know if you guys would like to meet up. I'm going to do a seminar with Fetch Wisconsin Rescue. It's going to be awesome. So, yeah, that's that. All right, guys, I'm gonna hop off here. Thank you guys for watching. Much love, and that's it. Peace. Thanks, YouTube.